HTML. That is the content of a web page. Hypertext markup language. Basically, that explains what it is. Hyper, which means more than, right? Text, because obviously it's written words. And language, just meaning that, you know, it's language, right? Now, this isn't what I would call programming language. This is more of it's a markup language. And what markup language means is that you wrap content, usually text, but it can be other things as well. And by wrapping it with information, you give it more. It will do more things than what the text is itself. So for instance, if you look at this example here, see this text here that says pointless sites? I wrap it with this anchor, this href, okay? And now when I go to click on this, it will actually go to pointless sites. And you click on it and it shows you various websites that are just completely random. Can you move them? So you can try going to it. It's pretty fun. I don't know. They're like really dumb websites. Anyway, so, but by clicking on it now, that becomes a hyperlink. But now that has more function to it, okay? That's the idea of it, is that you wrap the text with something else, okay? So these are called tags, okay? Now, a good way to kind of look at this is it's actually a lot like Word, okay? So if we look at Word here, right, I can write something. So, you know, here is me I don't know why I wrote that way, writing something, okay? Now, that is just basic paragraph text, right? It has all these things on it. Now, I don't know if you ever played around with this over here, but they have these different options, and if I click down here, you can see. So they have heading 1, heading 2, they have title, subtitle, emphasis, right? So basically, if I put, let's say, heading on there, it's now formatted this way, okay? That's what HTML does. But then I could do another bit of text, and, you know, blah, right? Okay. And then I could wrap this with something else. Let's wrap this with emphasis, okay? And I could do something else, all right? And then we'll just put this as, we'll put this as normal or subtitle or something. Okay. Now notice it's all the same text, but they're being formatted differently based on the way that these are attached to it, okay? What HTML does is it allows us to do it manually. So I'm going to show you how this is done more manually, okay? So I already created this. It's just a blank HTML document, and I'm just going to show you. So if I do a P, okay, and I just write, you know, here is some text, okay, and I'm just going to save that, and then I open up this web page. I open it up. I'm just going to refresh it. Here's some text, right? So a paragraph just looks like that. Now watch this. If I take the same thing, okay, this time I'm going to put an H1 on both sides of this, okay? And we'll cover how to write this a little bit, so let me make this bigger so you can possibly see it, okay? So you can see this is wrapped inside of a opening and closing P tag, and this is wrapped inside of an opening and closing H1, which is a heading 1 tag, okay? Now if I save that, and we go back here, and I'll refresh this, you'll see it's the same content, but now they're being formatted differently based on that markup, okay? And we can do, you know, let's do this again. So I could do that, what I just showed you earlier. I could do an A and then href, and we'll just put in that symbol, and I just need to make sure I put the A there. And now you'll see when I go to open this up, now this is a link. It's not going to go anywhere. When I click on it, it'll go nowhere, but because I didn't put extra information in there. So that's what HTML does. So unlike Word, because I'm sure you've run into this, right? Where like you try to do like bullet points, or let's say you're doing this, and you're like, oh, this and this and this, and then you're like, oh, I want to tab this in, and then it's like, oh, I got to tab back out, right? It's Shift Tab, by the way, because you didn't know how to tab backwards. But you're like, you can't figure it out, and then it loses its formatting, and like it's all pushed in. And you're like, I don't understand where this is going. It's really annoying, right? The difference between this and what we do here is that I can see the markup here, right? I'm manually writing it into this document. The user is going to only see the final result, which is what we see here. But it's better than Word because when it's in here, I can't control that. I don't know what formatting's happening. Like something might be going in here and then it's also attached down there. It's very difficult to see. In fact, actually, when I inside of Canvas, there's an option to, instead of just writing text, I can actually write in HTML, which I often do because it doesn't format the way that I think it's going to. So I can actually fix it. A lot of apps will actually have that as an option, and that will actually be beneficial because now you're not dealing with having to do all that other, that you can't see the formatting. So hopefully that makes sense. Not that one, this one. So think of it like Word, but the difference is that you are having more control over, you can see behind what's being presented. You're not just being given the front end. You can actually see and manually write what is going to be visible to the user, okay?